Hello, welcome to the reading today, everyone. So hopefully you're having a nice rest of the month. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the year. So I thought, why not do something a little bit more, a reading that's probably a little bit more challenging for some. This is going to be how to release any emotional blockages or trauma. So we're talking around past trauma, difficulties, things that trigger us, whether we are aware of them or not. Sometimes we hide them, sometimes we hide them from ourselves, and other times we are well aware of them. And it may be a good time to start looking at these, working on these. I will also say I do feel like some people who are just interested in watching the readings, thank you, appreciate it. Perhaps if this is not going to be around something that you're looking at or dealing with, you may be able to see it in others, and whether that's just to help you understand, oh, okay, that could be something they're going through. So there's more compassion or a lighter heart sense around that person, instead of going into judgment or criticism or taking their energy on as your energy. So this should help in some way, regardless of where you're at. All right, so let's start. I'm going to select 3 cards. Also, just so you know, the pre-launch is up for my cards, which is these ones here. This is now being called the Journey of the Traveler's Oracle, which I seem quite fitting. And so that is one I'm going to stick with, and that will start at the end of December and into the new year, creating the booklet, creating everything for it. So check that out in the description below as well if you're interested in following that journey. Okay, let's grab some cards for this reading. I'll take this one here. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the cards today. See which pile you're called to. For pile number 1, you have the angel Iahel and Labradorite with individuality. Crystal number 444. I think it zooms in about here. For pile number 2, you have the goddess Isis and the Isis crystal, She Shall Always Prevail, with the crystal goddess number 888. And pile 3, you have the goddess Durga and Hematite with Spear of the Mother Guru, and this is goddess number 888. Okay, so these will be the 3 piles for you to choose from today. Pick whichever one calls to you, and you can jump straight to your video with the timestamps in the description below. I'll also just give a little bit of time after I finished my spiel, so you can either pause, or if that's enough time, you can jump straight to your video, and I will see you there. But otherwise, yeah, I'll see you in your reading. Hello, welcome to your reading today, pile number 1. So we are talking about trauma and challenges and overcoming emotional blocks. Remember, if you need any support, it is best to talk to people that you can really trust in any of this, especially if this is overwhelming. This reading will be a supplement or like a support for you to be able to help you do what you need to do. This reading isn't going to do it for you, and nor is it going to provide all the information to to get you to the other side, right, of grief and challenge and difficulty. But it really is going to help support you to be able to do that and give you the boost to be able to do it yourself, right? So I just wanted to quickly preface that. Really beautiful card. You've chosen the angel, is it Iahel, and Labradorite with individuality. This particular angel is one that goes into the depth, sometimes spiritual meaning. You may have picked a challenging life, because I was also looking at this little piece of Labradorite, which is in the shape of an angel. This is a different type of Labradorite. It's like similar but different, right? It's white. It's known as white Labradorite, or like silver looking. And that particular crystal is really helpful for me, and I associate with it. I don't know what the online says that it is associated with, but it's really helpful to connect with your own grief, your own depth of who you are, and start to pull out the Three of Swords kind of energy, right? And start to heal, because you don't want to stay wounded for longer than you need to. So yeah, this is getting back into power. But the key kind of like feeling of this one was like, who am I? Was a key message coming through. I think I might grab these ones actually. So let's see what this will bring. So this is really around what can help you to start to remove these emotional blocks and heal trauma or look at trauma. Straight away, what I'm getting, I think, is a bit of a typical kind of message with these cards, with this particular reading, I mean. And it's coming through with, this is a good time to look at this. That doesn't mean this is a good time to process or start to deal with it. We have to start off with the foundation of accepting or understanding what are the things or feelings that block me. It won't be a person, it may come from like a situation or a person if you think about them, right? But it's something that's coming from within. So take it as that, so it doesn't turn into, I'm going to blame this person for this. They may have caused some kind of like situation, but when we hold on to it, it's like, how is it making me feel? What is it doing to me? What do I feel like? What am I being blocked from? I feel like really getting to the nitty-gritty of it will help to start to alleviate it. Because when we can see it and accept it for what it is, then we can recognize it for truth and start to remove, heal, process. So it's too hard to deal with something when we don't even recognize what that is. I would say it's not possible at all. Nice little song playing at the moment too. The song is called Here Comes the Sun, which is really, I mean, it's very clear what it is, right? But it's kind of like, it just shows you that there are brighter days ahead. And even now may be brighter than where you were in the past. I feel like this is a kind of like slight blessing and a curse when it comes to being a human and having like emotional and mental depth, is that it's very complicated, right? We hold on to a lot of stuff, even if it's so small and minute. In the now, we may not know why it's there or what it is or how it came to be there today, because we've either blocked it or, you know, something like that. Anywho, let's move things out of the way. Let's get into your cards. So you have Gabriel, the Angel of Heralds. This is a nice sign to kind of reiterate what I was talking about. This is a good time to start to the process of healing, as it feels. Gabriel has like, an interesting role, because generally you'll look it up and it'll be like, because he went and told Mary she was pregnant, right, we're going to have a baby. It kind of comes across as he is the deliverer of a message, and so he's a messenger because he did that one thing. But it's kind of like if I went to the supermarket and picked up some groceries, right? I'm not a personal shopper. I just went and did that. So I feel like for Gabriel, angelic wise, it definitely comes across, or he or she, or however you perceive the angel. I don't believe they have specific gender anyway. However, generally to me it comes across as masculine, and so I'll use he pronouns, but he usually comes across as someone who can deal with many different things, can assist you in connecting back with you. That's the whole point of all this. This isn't to shake up trauma and show you it and hurt you, right? This is really to get back to your truth, which you may have situations and things happen to you, but that isn't you. That isn't what you have to hold on to continue being you, right? You're so much more than just that. And I feel like that's why Gabriel's coming through as like the personal celebrity to the stars. What is that? What am I trying to say? It's like it's coming through as celebrity to the stars, but like what do you call it? Like a talent agent to the stars. It's kind of like that. That's what's coming through. So I'd say it's to bring out whatever's in you, and it's great when you have supporters, right? And so you could see that playing out in the real world with like a talent agent who helps showcase your qualities to other people so that you get booked. So it's kind of like that, and this isn't necessarily exactly like that, but it's like to showcase your own wisdom or power within, and reminding you of your greatness. And I feel like that's where this angel comes through as well. So we've got a couple of angels already coming out. Got rock bottom reversed, and reversed is you've already hit certain points. You may not be there now, and maybe this is like a long time ago, and this is a reading to remind you of your power, especially with individuality, your greatness, right? You're more than what anyone else labels you. You're more than what you label yourself as well. And when rock bottom's reversed, it's like, you know, it's that turning around. It's that, like, you can see it here where the path leads down, and then the path also leads out, coming back out here. It's like there's no place further down that you need to be. You've gone through the difficulties, and it's like recognize that, recognize where you are, be very clear with where you're at. Don't try to do some work or like distract yourself with cooking or anything. Even while listening to this reading, it kind of feels like try not to distract yourself. Listen in, focus back in to this message. This is a good time to shift out of this energy. And if you already have, remember how you shifted out of this energy and how great it was to be out of that situation or from that person or whatever the case may be. Acceptance and recognition is really important. Recognizing yourself, recognizing the situation, recognizing your feelings, recognizing that there even is a block or there is trauma, right? That's really important. Of course, if there is, this isn't a reading to create something that's not there. This is a reading to recognize what is and what is truth, and then what we can do after that recognition. Ooh, I like this. This is one of my favorite cards, and this might even be the cover or the booklet or something, because I really like this card, this imagery, because it's really cool. Anyway, so you got Star Child and Fire Arrow with multi-dimensionality, vision, and Starseed. So you are so much more than the circumstances that happen in this particular life. Now that's easier said than done when we don't remember any past lives. Imagine if we had a past life with someone in 50 lifetimes, we had a relationship with this person, it was all, you know, had ups and downs, it was like real, right? Let's just say it was real. It wasn't like perfect, it was real. And in this lifetime, we're not having them. We're trying to pull connections in with other people or different kind of beings. That is kind of a challenge, right? Because we've had so many lifetimes with this person and they're not incarnated with us in this time. So, you know, whether you believe any of that kind of stuff or not, this could be, you can just take this as like remembering you are so much more. Like, this isn't just a saying you're so much more. This is recognizing that you're so much more. This is knowing when you meet certain people, and even that if they were challenging connections or not, it's recognizing I kind of felt like I knew them before I met them, or this did feel like the right thing to break up or keep away from these kind of people or whatever. This is just showing how vast and intergalactic you really are as a soul. I feel like if you recognize this, your soul's worth, your worthiness, then you can start to heal some of this. Especially if this is really old stuff and you're like older as well, and you're in the mindset of, well, I'm older, I can't deal with like that's easy for these people, this or that. I can't do that, right? I'm different because I can't, like, that's just different for me. That's going to be something to also overcome as well. That idea of, like, I would say it's lack of value or worth. However, you may see it as something else. So take it as what you see. But that's just something that needs to be said. So you've got nyctophilia, which is comfort in the darkness. This will be a hard one to recognize or to accept, the darkness, when we're talking about in this kind of situation. Nycto, I'm assuming, is shadows or darkness, and philia is something like love, right? Or the love of. That's why there's like phobia and philia. Phobia is like the hate of something or dislike of something, or like super repellent, right? Because when we're scared of spiders, arachnophobia, we don't want to see them, be near them, or think about them, right? And so philia is like the opposite of that. It's like a very strong attraction. And so here is the attraction to the darkness. This could be an attraction. I don't know if you want to hear this, but it could be an attraction to your own pain, or to just being so used to it, right? It's not like you love being in shadow or anything like that, but you're so used to it that you don't know how to get out of it. And I feel like if you start to recognize, oh, I am holding on to this pain, it could be big, small, it may impact your life in a big way, it may impact your life in a small way. So it's not really for me to kind of like flesh out. This is just like a general reading for you to look at and decide whether it's true or not. If you're like, no, that's not me, then that's not you, right? This is just to assist. So I'm just prefacing this because it's probably going to go quite deep, and comfort in the darkness is getting so comfortable that you're used to it. It's like being in a toxic relationship, right? You just get so used to it, you couldn't think of what could be out there until you like get out of it eventually, because that's how some relationships work, right? Whether it's one person's problem or the other, it doesn't really matter, so to speak. It's more like, what am I holding on to that's from a past kind of like issue, and same here. And then these two people dance around and round and round until eventually they break up. One's going to blame the other's going to blame the other, but they're both hurt people hurting each other, basically. And so that can be where the comfort keeps coming in. It's like, I'm so used to that. And then you take all that with another relationship with someone who's not used to that. And then you start trying to pick up the same thing or keep talking about it. And it's just like, it could even almost try to turn that person into what you already had. And then you're like, you're just doing the dance again, or trying to, and this person might have good boundaries where it pushes back, and then you get faced with like the reality that you're starting to like mirror this kind of energy. So look, if that resonates, it resonates. Doesn't, take it or leave it. But that's coming through. So again, this is about awareness. The whole reading for you, Part 1, is about awareness of who you are, what you do, what is actually you, and what is past trauma that is directing your actions and your responses and your way through life, because you're not just this body, this life, you're so much more than that. Okay, and we've got conflict as well. It says, know what you dislike, focus on your likes. I like this. I feel like this will be quite easy for you in the sense of writing down what you dislike and what you feel that you don't want to feel anymore, right? And then make a list of like what you like, maybe even what you like about yourself, and what kind of things you want to bring into your daily routine, whether it's like being kind to yourself, being kind to others, like whatever it is, make that as what it is. But recognition is huge in this reading. I can't keep I can't keep bringing it up over and over again for no reason, because there isn't no reason, right? There's a purpose and a reason to this. So there's like this push and pull, and if you're attracted to the push and pull and keep finding it, then you're going to keep finding it and keep going through it. Eventually you'll get tired of it and break out of it, but why not do that now instead of going through connections, relationships, friendships that just keep pulling this drama kind of through. Okay. All right, so can we get some more messages on how to proceed with this clearing of emotional energy? Yeah, it's going to take effort and work, for sure. You've got the Eight of Pentacles. This is about mastery, and we can't really master something if we don't go through the highs and lows of the learning. You know, if you really love maths, you have to go through the difficult questions that you may not know the answers to and need someone to tutor you and help you uncover them. But once you uncover the answers and figure it out, there's like a huge growth there, right? Instead of like, let's say, an alien race coming through, picking up like some of the questions that we have in like really crazy science, let's say, like, I don't know, mathematics, physics, quantum physics, something like that, and being able to easily answer them. There's no high and low for that being because it's just already well-known knowledge. Whereas the scientists may have studied for like 20 years or whatever, may still have struggled with that because that's just where we're at as a society. And, you know, for this other being, it's kind of like nothing. So for the other being, they might just see that as like, for us going and getting a glass of water and drinking it, it feels like nothing. Whereas for the other person, it might be like huge growth, but you don't want to just be given all the answers, right? So this is the whole point of potentially some of the contracts or things you've encountered in this lifetime, whether you're friends with these people anymore, whether you're enemies with them, whatever, you know, whatever the situation may be, recognize the blessing of the opportunity to grow within those encounters. Then you can start to heal. You can start to remove some of the blocks, but you have to feel it. Like, you have to be honest with yourself with all of this. This is going to take effort and work. Yeah, it's going to take effort and work. You've got the Eight of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. And you can see here the salmon. It might be like a crazy thing if we looked at it from the outside looking in, right? Of struggling up this waterfall kind of looking thing, even though it's just like a river system, but it seems like that steep. It's like struggle just to mate or spawn, right? And then they dive through the wear and tear of pushing themselves all the way up as far as they can before they're, you know, spawn, get into the ocean and go out, and, you know, hopefully the whole process starts again of death and rebirth. But it's interesting here, Ten of Wands, it's that challenge, right? It's like, do I take all this with me? Do I keep carrying all this stuff with me? Or do I let it go? So you'll have to make a very like honest decision whether you want to or not, because you might be very keen on being like, yeah, of course I want to get rid of, why would I want my life, why would I want to be always depressed about this or triggered by this or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, cool. But the work is also going to mean you may get triggered. You may get like into highs and lows. Like, you know, it could be a roller coaster of emotions. So it is challenging, but it's better than sitting and just staying with it and keeping the norm. So try to recognize if you are staying comfortable in your own trauma. Okay. Nine of Pentacles, I like this because this is also recognition for what you've already accomplished in this lifetime and maybe even in other lifetimes kind of coming through. But a big part of this is taking the well-deserved rest, like to alleviate the conflict, especially if you're finding it hard to sleep. you know, there's like water and there's all these other pills and stuff and potions that you can take. But really, what is the cause of it? Maybe even having a meditation on why you're unable to sleep or anything like that, if that's part of your reading, right? This particular part. Because the Nine of Pentacles, it's kind of an interesting way. You know, I was talking about the salmon, and there's the salmon, and this is the bear who eats the salmon, right? So that he, she, whoever can hibernate during the harsher winter months and just stay pretty much stationary while the world kind of freezes over. And so they've done the work to get to here. So you've done the work to get, like, you've already put in a lot of effort. And so now it's like, this is the time to heal, release, like actually draw it out. You've done part of the work, and this is like the good part to like finally let it out, let it go. Okay, what else? All right, and then there's a very practical. I feel like this is almost at the end, but also this could be at the beginning. So the Knight of Pentacles is, there's one card in the, what is it? Lightseers Tarot, where the knight is walking the horse and he's dropping a whole bunch of pentacles behind him. It's like almost like releasing, right? So there's like a strategy and a plan to release this. Donkeys are pretty protective and pretty sturdy and hardy. They're very, very, they're very, very sturdy and hardy. Let's just say that. They're a bit overprotective sometimes too. So if you feel like that's part of like, you jump on defense really quickly, maybe that's something to look at as well in regards to this reading. You know, this is all about helping you identify what you already know or what you may not know, but know that the symptoms or the energy that's coming through is not something you want to continually feel or process all the time. So you want to get to the root cause. And so that's why I was like, this can be at the start too. Maybe connect with your angel guides if you feel called to, just because two angels came through straight away. The one you picked, and also one from the Angelarium cards. But yeah, from here onwards, like once this is kind of like you get into a good point, don't overwork yourself. Plan it out. Plan rest periods. Plan like time to just be you as well and go through your normal daily routine. Especially if there's some heavy stuff to process out. But yeah, this whole reading is really going to be, or like really did focus on, sorry, I was just moving the cards, but really did focus on the recognition. So recognizing yourself for your worth and your value, recognizing what is holding you back, what is blocking you, and checking in on maybe if you don't know what it is, what is the energy that comes out? Is it someone touches me and I freak out, right? And maybe they're just like patting me on the shoulder or accidentally brush past me. Do I get like almost like into fear because of that or something else? You know, it's really about processing, looking at it, and then checking in with yourself as like, is this a way that I want to respond in all situations? If my partner touches me and I freak out because they're like too close to me or something, is that something that I'm dealing with this person, or is this from a past, or is this like from something else, right? And it's like, oh, maybe I need to explore this. So it really is about looking at all this. I feel like the only way is up from here with regards to self-care, self-value, because that's very important with this reading as well. And I would say you can do it, like, you know what you dislike, focus on what you like. Even with this darkness, if there's any trauma or like shadow, it's not about focusing on the shadow, it's focusing on what I like, because then you start to shift into the light, and because you're bringing in some of the heavier stuff with you, that starts to get put into the light. And it's like, oh, okay, I can see exactly what this is. Sometimes focusing in on a shadow work, so to speak, you just stay in the shadows while trying to blindly figure it out. Whereas if you move into things that you love and like to do, that starts to open up your mind in the world, and then you can clearly see the shadow that is like now well lit in the light. All right, I will leave that there. So hopefully this helps you. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Again, I have those cards, these ones here, with this cool little image available, so check that out in the description below. But otherwise, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, look after yourself and others, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, welcome to your reading pile number 2. So you've chosen a very interesting one, haven't you? You've chosen Goddess Isis and the Isis Crystal. She shall always prevail. Very strong, powerful energy coming through from a very strong and powerful goddess of Egyptian mythology, right? So what am I getting from this? Basically, I don't know what this one's going to touch on, so I don't really have too much to say at first. However, she shall always prevail is showing resilience, right? It's showing strength and resilience. And there is like a very strong focus on making sure you learn from the challenges so you don't repeat them. But regardless, you have learnt a lot from your difficulties. And if there is still trauma or is still blockages in here, we're going to flesh them out in this reading. So let's see what else comes through. Whoa. Getting this one here. Wiggling around. So you've got Iahel with the, which is the Angel of Night. Interesting angel too. Sometimes seen as shadowy, and you know how the darkness is sometimes seen as negative? This isn't negative in any way, shape, or form. Iahel feels like honest review of your shadows and honest review and how they're being utilized. Are some of these shadows still around, but now instead of being something that was minimizing you, it's kind of flipped to the attack, right? You don't want to be attacking things or weaponizing your trauma or weaponizing, blocks or emotional challenge difficulties, right? This is just a recognition. So we're going to definitely probably go deep into this. Because this isn't an individual reading, I just want to say that take this with a grain of salt and take whatever resonates. If you need support, speak to, professionals, people that will really help with some of the stuff. This reading is to help you recognize and start to go on your own journey rather than to tell you what to do. Okay. Interesting commitments coming through. This can be pretty tricky, especially if this is around like, but you promised you would till death do us part type thing. You broke a covenant or something like that. And I don't mean you, but you might be thinking of that with the other person, especially if you've gone through like a divorce or a breakup where you've lost the house when they said they would, if anything happens, they would give you this or that, or you'd be able to live with this, and you're holding on to that. So that could be where some of the pain is coming from. Some kind of commitment or agreement was broken, and while you may have worked through many of it, there's still something here that needs to be looked at. Oh yeah, you've got the Tokoloche and the Sankofa. The Sankofa is like I can't remember which tribe in Africa, and there's like, it's a huge continent, right, with many countries and many tribes probably within each country. But there's a particular tribe somewhere in Africa which narrows it down, but you can look it up. Anyway, it kind of means going back and getting what is yours, right? So when we're talking about in this situation, in this Tokoloche talks about jealousy and like sometimes kind of anger, especially if this person, I'm just going to talk to it like this is all about a relationship. Let's say you were married and it didn't go through, like it did go through, or they cheated on you, or maybe you cheated on them, or whatever. I don't really care about the blame. The blame is not going to be the healing proponent in this reading. That's not it. But it's like, what are you holding on to that you've left behind in that connection, or you've left behind at the altar, or you hold this person responsible for how you feel today? It could be 20 years ago and you still like, I need to chase them, right? I heard a message somewhere which was really apt. It's like, it's kind of like getting bitten by a snake and the snake leaving and then you chasing the snake to tell it that it hurt you, that it like did this to you. And it's kind of like the snake don't give a fuck, right? The snake slithered away. And you can try to chase it, but really you should be focusing on the poison and start healing that poison. Because the more you focus on going after the snake, your body's spread, the poison spreading in your body. That's kind of like where this message is kind of coming through. And what does it turn into? You know, jumping on people very quickly, or even like could be like jealousy, right? Learn. That's why I said before this card even came out, learn from your past, learn from the history so you do not repeat it. And you may not repeat it in the exact same way, but you don't want to be the aggressor. Whereas if you're in a relationship with the opposite person was the aggressor, you don't want to seesaw with this in a new connection or with your current partner or even with whoever, right? Anyone in the family. You don't want to seesaw with this of like aggressor and then like straw man breaks down and it's like, well, then everyone's just against me type thing. We're not talking about dramatics here. This is just recognition of where it's coming from solely. Ooh, didn't think this one was going to go so heavy, but you know, that's the whole point. We're talking about goddess Isis, right? A very powerful, strong goddess. And so this is going to have some deep energies in it. And it's all for your improvement. It's not to blame even me or someone else for anything. Or even yourself. Ultimately, no one is at blame here. It's just recognition. Recognition of this is what hurt me. How do I heal this? Rather than I need to go find them and tell them how they feel. Especially if here they've gone on and remarried and you feel like the one left behind or like something like that. You know, your value is not based off what other people do. Otherwise, like you'd be very stressed. And that's why I see like narcissists, right? It's narcissist. And I don't mean like now everyone's calling everyone a narcissist. If you just disagree with them, you're a narcissist. I don't mean stupid shit like that. I mean like narcissists where they actually are narcissistic and they are worried about everything that's happening because they all feel like it's about them, right? So they go into a restaurant, people might look at them or not look at them. They're worried about what everyone else is thinking or feeling. So it's like an overwhelming amount. Like you don't want to get into that kind of energy or feel that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you are a narcissist, but you know, that kind of like pull. It would be very stressful to be an actual narcissist, right? To have all these people who are like not even focusing in on you, but you feel like everything is targeted towards you, whether it's positive, negative, or whatever. So anyway, don't know why that needs to come through, but you know, go get your peace of mind back that's been left behind. It's not for someone to give it to you back, it's for you to go retrieve it. And that has nothing to do with even speaking to anyone else. It's more about speaking to yourself and recognizing it within. Okay. This came out in pile 1 as well, same position. So interesting, it's popping out again. Comfort and darkness. Comfort and darkness is going to have the exact same meaning as the last reading, pile 1. And even though the story was quite different, this one is the same card. And comfort in the darkness, Nikto must mean darkness or night. I'm not too sure. And here we've got like the angel of the night, right? So it's very much like, but if I, who am I if I leave this? And it's like, you're still you. You're just no longer sitting in the shadows, blaming others or everyone else for your own kind of life, right? This is about taking responsibility for where you are, not to blame yourself, but just to recognize it and then start to shift to an area or heal or whatever. That's how you remove blockages and trauma. It's not about attacking the darkness, it's recognizing that you may be sitting in it in some way. By how you respond, by how other people respond to you, by how people avoid you, by how you avoid people, you know, whatever. So deep dive here, deep dive with the Sankofa. Right, and you have triggers. Yes, I guess we're going to talk about this. Wasn't going to mention it because I was like, this feels like it's very similar to pile 1. But since the actual card came out, we're going to talk to it. Triggers. Recognizing your triggers, especially in here, intense emotional catalyst. Triggers aren't there to always be a bad thing. If someone triggers you, see where it's coming from. If it's like them trying to hurt you or not, that doesn't really, I mean, it does matter, right? But in this message, just ignore that. How and why is it triggering you? Does someone call you a particular word or a name that you don't like? And do you identify with that word or name? No, if you don't, then leave it as that's their problem, right? You don't have to take that on. That doesn't mean they should. You call it out. You call out BS when you see it or hear it or feel it. But understanding why and what triggers you helps you identify where and why that's within your soul, right? Within your body. We might be going deeper into the soul to release something with this particular situation, especially if it's like broken commitments or commitments that should have been or you feel are still should have been, especially if you're still pining over an ex or something like that, in a way that how did they move on and didn't stay stuck like you did or something like that, right? For an example. You don't really need to know that. You need to know why you still feel that way. Whether it's you still want them or not, it doesn't matter. It's more about why do I feel the way? What are the triggers that I have within my life that are like, what are they trying to tell me basically? If someone bumps me and then they don't say sorry or whatever and they move on, I could take that as like something where I get upset about, or I could just completely ignore it. But what you could even ask, what was that trying to tell me? Was I just needing to be shaken out of my head, or was I not focusing on where I was going, or what, you know? Or do I just need to be like, oh, that was random and just leave it as that, right? It's some people could take it as like they bumped me, now I need to pay them back or get revenge, right? And there's a whole like story arc around that. And you'll be like, all they did was bump into you. So is it worth it? Like, what is this really about? There is a story and something that's trying to tell you here. There's like comfort in sometimes misery. There's comfort in misery, but here you are fully capable of overcoming this. If you've got this goddess energy within you or around you, you're able to push through and get what you want out of this lifetime. Okay, now, of course, if this is talking to not you and someone else that you know, this might be good information on how you can support them or help them. But again, you're not there to do anything, do it for them, right? You can't do things for other people, and people can't do things for other people can't do things, fix like something or heal something within you. You have to do it yourself. They can definitely support 100%. That's the whole point of going to therapy and stuff, is like getting that support person who listens, who helps you uncover the right tools to help you, basically, right? They're not there to go, you should just do this, and you'll be all fixed, because that's not how it works. You got to find things that work for you. But anywho, yeah. Okay, so let's see if there's any more information on what you can do. You've got the Queen of Swords. Yeah, cut the cords to the shadows. This might not be just cutting cords from someone. This might actually be cutting cords from your own love of the darkness, for example, or your own constantly trying to source out or find the negative in things or people. Because it's not who you are at the soul anyway. It's just like certain things have occurred and they have been shrouded in darkness, and the darkness has become the norm. And so now it's time to move on. The Queen of Swords is smart, she's intelligent. So are you, right? You're smart and intelligent. You know what you need. You know what you want out of this lifetime, potentially, like, maybe it's like feeling better, emotionally stable, healthy, happy, right? Good relationship, good connections. This is like a catalyst, I would say, for starting to do that by recognizing what causes any triggers, right? What causes you to stay in this energy? Do you even recognize whether you are sitting in darkness or shadow at times? Being aware of your surroundings and your focus, what's going through your mind, all those kind of questions. That's when you can start to turn the tables, because you can find a thread, start to pull it, look at the results of pulling that thread and decide whether you cut the cords with that or keep it as something that you want to grow and learn from. Either way, it's up to you. Got the 5 of Cups coming out as well. Yeah, definitely cutting cords to grief. It's kind of like, here's the grief energy and you're rising, right? More better for it. The Death Head Hawk Moth is definitely like a death card. But it's no longer going to sit around with the shattered glass and worry about what could have been and what should have been. This is about moving on and reclaiming your life, basically. Yeah, moving on. Okay. This is how you do it. Cut cords, recognize your grief, recognize what you feel should have been, recognize that it is not, and so you can move beyond it. You don't need to sit here in the shadow, being constantly disappointed by others, yourself, your mind, your body, blaming your emotions. This isn't about blame of anything. I've said it 1,000 times, not here to blame any part of you, any part of others either. This is just about information recognition, understanding, and then finding that path forward. Could even do a cutting of the cord ceremony with these two. That'll help move things forward. That could be just like you envisioning Archangel Michael, or whatever deity, god, goddess, whatever you work with, right? Angel you work with, and just envisioning them cutting a cord, lighting a candle or something, or even not even doing that, right? Just envisioning it in your mind while you listen to some calm music, and then going forward. All right, last card is the Tower card. This could be a big change, and you can see here it's probably worth it. This tree, while it looks like it wasn't even a storm, it was just maybe high winds, excuse me. Excuse me. These birds built their nests on a tree that looks already dead, right? It's already died, so it's flimsy. It's just hadn't fallen, and so it's kind of like, well, if it hasn't fallen, I'll just keep staying here, because the song playing was called Call Home, and that could be calling into yourself, or maybe even getting back in touch with people. Look, that's up to you. But the Tower card, it's like the old tower has to come down for the new foundations to be built. I would say the Tower card is in the future, and it's more one that's controlled by when you decide to move beyond and move on from this. Otherwise, the tower eventually falls anyway, and it'll come in some way that will be a shock or a surprise, right? So if you can get ahead of the tower, then you can move out. You can move away from the already old, broken, damaged tree and find your own new place to call home within you and in your outside reflected world. Oh, well, this was a deep one. This could touch into relationships, commitments, even like parents, right? Like parents, they should have been this, that, or the other, and if they weren't, then they weren't. Recognize that as truth. Stop trying to get people to admit or be or to give some kind of clarity, because sometimes we don't get that. We don't always get it. Just find peace and love and happiness within you and move forward, because you've got Isis power within you, right? It says she shall prevail. So you're meant to come in here and go through whatever you've gone through to get to here, and then you go the high road, which is still challenging, right? It's the releasing, it's the overcoming, it's the releasing of emotional energy, especially if you're a person who's like, I'm not going to cry over this person anymore, I've cried enough. It's like, maybe you need to just let it out. You're not crying for them, you're crying for you, to let that emotion free, to free yourself, to unblock your emotional blocks, basically. Because regardless, you will prevail, you'll get there, but do you get there when the tree falls down and then it's a big surprise and you have to deal with the aftermath, or have you already left? And so you get to where you need to be regardless. Do you want to get there by being pushed down the rapids, you know, in like a rickety raft, or do you want to just walk along the side of the river and just, you know, take a more scenic route, I guess, is like an option. Okay. Well, there's a lot here for this one, so hopefully this helped you. Remember, all these readings are really here for your love and light. They're not here to harm or hurt. This energy is for you to observe, to work with, to leave behind, to release, to hold, and it's really up to you this lifetime of what you do with the energy that you attract, what you focus on, and what you want from this existence, basically. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. If you have any comments, please leave them. If you've liked, thumbs up. If you haven't liked, thumbs down, I guess. Either or either. But yeah, take care of yourself. Look after yourself. Be kind to yourself as well with this especially. Take your time with it. But take care, and I'll see you next time. Hello. Welcome to your reading pile number 3. So you're here, you're reading around how to help with emotional blocks and trauma. Definitely deep, heavy readings, right? And you've chosen a very powerful one. You've chosen Goddess Durga, who's like I feel like mother of all. Kind of like, it feels like if we talked about God, goddess type energy, it's like the goddess energy, the feminine energy. And it kind of touches on, or her energy touches on protection. And I love that the Hematites come through, which is like, always dark crystals make me think of absorbing negative energy, right? And also this one's kind of got a sheen on it, so it kind of feels like it's absorbing and reflective in a sense. Anyway, the spear of the mother, the guru mother. So spear of the guru mother. She also has like the side of war, right, and challenge. So there's an aspect of strength and determination with this one. This could be a really interesting reading. It could be something that you have gone through or you feel is still within you, or it could even be you wanting to utilize your growth and learning from challenges into something that you can heal and help others. And when I say heal, it's not like you do the healing for other people. It's kind of like you facilitate a space where people can heal themselves. So I don't know if that's part of your movement. You might even want to work with the Goddess Durga if you feel called to it. But yeah, it's just a very, very strong, powerful energy coming through. She really doesn't like injustice and like horrible deeds or dark things, right? Harmful things happening to people, places, or anything, I would say, animals, anything like that. However, I don't work with her. I don't really know too much about her, but that's just kind of like what I'm getting, especially from this. So this is like a very fierce, strong energy, and the spear kind of feels like targeted points that need to be really worked on or looked at before moving forward. Okie dokie. So interesting start to your reading, pile 3. This feels quite different to the other piles. You kind of might be here to talk about, okay, so I've got to a point in my healing and now I need assistance, or I've got to a point in my healing and now I don't know what to do with it. And this could be converting it into service or healing to others. So yeah, it really depends. You know where you're at. You may not know exactly on the path, but you know whereabouts roughly you are on this emotional healing / trauma releasing journey. This one really wants to come through. All right, so you've got Shatial, the Angel of Silence. Interesting here because she's, well, it looks kind of feminine, but this angel is kind of sitting in the snow. So it kind of feels like, yeah, like a slowing down period. That's why I was like, maybe you've got to a point where you're stuck or don't know how to progress further. And so that's what this is about. Okay, so it looks like we're going to get into something specific. Silence is interesting, right? Because there's like some family members of my partner came back from Japan, and they were like, yeah, it's really quiet there. Everyone's so silent, right? When they're on the trains and stuff, there's not a lot of hustle and bustle. There's just a lot of silence. In certain places, it's clean and it's got all this kind of stuff. So I was saying how great it was, but how different it is as well. So it's just like, sometimes that's a good space. Like, we sometimes miss out on the blessings. Like, I've got nothing to do. What am I doing? I'm wasting my time, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, sometimes it's good to just stop, smell the roses, be grateful for who you are and what you've gained and what you've got around you. So silence is more in the observation rather than the doing, so to speak. Okay. I like this for you. This may be something for you again, or something to what you could do to help. It's an interesting kind of image. This is kind of, the cards that I've got created, and this looks like Fallout, like, a Fallout shelter almost, with this little Pip-Boy kind of child and parents in the background. This is the Overseer and Mirror. It talks about monitored, controlling, and boundaries. So maybe you've already gone through something with someone where you felt your power was taken away from you, and now you're like, well, how do I reclaim it? Or maybe you've reclaimed it and you're like, I don't feel fulfilled fully from reclaiming my power, right? I want some kind of like justice or something like that. And I feel like this isn't about getting that. This is about building boundaries and transferring that kind of like desire into something else. And that's why I'm like, do you go teach? Do you go write something down? Maybe you tell your story and you don't expect anything back. You just want to share it so people can see it and reflect on it within themselves. There's a lot of reflection here as well, and it's recognizing the learning for what it was. Like, this little boy might grow up and want to enact revenge on these people who are kind of like sneakily monitoring, right? They could be doing experiments, who knows? But it throws up an air of suspicion and shadow, and that's not really where you want to go or where things need to go right now. This is about learning and then moving forward in whatever way that becomes true, I guess. Okay, what else? What else? Oh wow, this came out in pile 2, I think. Pile 2? Maybe pile 1? I can't remember. It's these piles are all very different. Regardless, if you're drawn to another pile, maybe have a look at that. I can't remember where this one came up, but I guess if you pick one and this doesn't come up, then maybe that is still the right one. You just need to look at it, or maybe it's the other one. But take what resonates, leave what doesn't. The commitment card is literally contracts and things like that. Sometimes this makes me think of relationships, but it can also be work contracts and things like other things like that, or like where someone has used your good will or good nature and turned it into something that is like just not great. I feel like it's just kind of like they've sullied your trust. That's kind of where it's coming from. So it may pay to reflect on this if that's needed, or maybe to recognize that you're out of these connections and you're in a new connection where this isn't true anymore, because some of that old energy may just have lagged over into this time. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Here it very much talks about honor your connections, honor the people that help you and serve you, right? And honor yourself and how you serve and help others. So be very grateful for the work you've done and who you are. This feels like a little bit of a lighter reading. I thought it was going to be more heavier, but no, it feels very light. It's like on the turning point of where things were to where you are now and how much you've grown, and just recognizing and reflecting on that in a sense as well. Yeah, transcend. You've got beyond what you think you knew. Beyond what you think you know. That's such a good one too, because No one's at the peak of anything, I feel. If someone feels like they're at the peak, they've just got to a point where they believe that is the limit. But I feel like everything is pretty limitless. Like if we were, like when I was 20, which was a while ago, let's just say, I couldn't imagine like what we've got today, even, you know, well, I'll just say it. It's like almost, it's about 18 years ago. I was 20. So, you know, it takes a long, like it's been a long, it hasn't been like that long really in the idea of how humans come along, right? So, but like it feels like there's been a lot of spiritual growth in the last many years, right? Every year feels different, and also technology has grown as well, which always seems to be quite progressive in certain ways, and some stuff hasn't changed at all. So it's kind of like things are always moving. Try not to have a very fixed idea of what is true and what is spirituality, what is God, what is goddess, what is my purpose, what is this, that, or the other. Be very open. Have ideas of who you are and what you want to do, but don't limit your experience to what could be possible. You've got separation. It says reconnecting to your center. Very nice. Look at all these DNA strands. There's a lot of DNA helixes in these cards. Not this many though. Like this is really touching on you may be going through a trend, like a reconnection with your soul, a reconnection with yourself. There might be parts of you that have kind of like disappeared from past situations or trauma, potentially with family, potentially with parenthood, your own children, you know, things like that. This is like recognizing it and starting to reconnect to who you are, not basing it off other people's decisions and choices. Okay, so it's kind of an interesting one. I don't know if this is really talking to how can you unblock it. I think it's just recognizing that wherever you are at the moment is where you need to be, and that's okay if you're not moving, you're not progressing in the way you think you are. It's just like relaxing time or like having a massage isn't just a waste of time. Like rest is required. If we continually worked, it'd be like when you work, you're at your desk and you're trying to figure out a problem, right? And you can't figure it out, but you keep trying and trying and trying, and then you give up for a moment, go on a break, come back, and you're able to figure it out in 10 minutes. You know, that's the whole purpose of taking a break, or like resting your eyes, or going to the bathroom, or having some food. Like that's why it works. That's why some countries have like less working hours, because they actually are more productive than they are if they're there long hours, because it's just not how it works. Pushing yourself, it doesn't work. Like pushing yourself overly does not work. It can help in some ways, but overall, it's not unsustainable. I think it's like Singapore, is it, or Malaysia or somewhere over there, has like the highest productivity and also the highest depression and the like least amount of like quality of life when it comes to things. So they stack their day with like all sorts of other stuff. So it's just like they keep trying to cram more and more and more into their day so that they can feel happy. But really, it's just like so busy that you're not dealing with anything. You're just doing. Like you're not a human being. You're just like a human doing, right? You're just doing. So I don't know if that needs to come out for anyone here, but it's just an interesting thing that popped up in my mind. Random fact number 575. Yeah, this could be a new way of being you. This transcendence is going to open up a new world for you. And as much as you limit it, if you do, it'll still be new and different. So try to go in with a whole new perspective. Don't assume how the world should look, or who should be doing this, or who should be leading the country, or whatever, you know. This is all about just like being open to whatever comes through and recognizing it all as learning opportunity. Because you've got good boundaries. Focus on your needs and what's fulfilling. Oh, I love that. You got the King of Pentacles as well, this cute little bull with little flowers in his hair. Well, it's not really hair, but you know what I mean, like head, where human hair would be. King of Pentacles is stability and grounding, and that's what it means. It's like starting to serve. I feel like you might be in a position where you start to serve others from your own challenges, trauma, blocks, and things like that. By going on this path, you think, oh, I need to do more work though. But maybe if you just go into this, it actually alleviates some of it, and it's like, oh, this is actually the path. So I don't know. I don't want you to go do something that you don't want to do, of course. But if you feel like you're called to write down your story, to speak to someone else about these kind of things, or to even write a book and a self-help book or something like that, you know, it's really up to you. You might have a good time to be able to do this, and maybe sitting in silence and listening to the wisdom of your soul might really help alleviate that. There's like a soul contract thing coming through here now, since I said that with the commitment card. It's like unlocking the new phase, unlocking the new world, trying something new. That is your healing. It's no longer focusing inward and trying to work through stuff. It's like channeling that energy outward and showing progression. So there's like a balance between outward, inward, yin and yang, all that. All that. Yeah, you've got the Five of Swords too. Maybe a struggle to get out of the idea of I win, you lose. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. You're not here to compare to anybody. You're here to just be you and do you. There's going to be 1,000 people who write like self-help books, right? This isn't about comparing to any of them. This is just writing down your experience and how it might be written in a way that really helps a group of people, whereas the other way might help other group of people, right? So it's like catering to the various humans. But Five of Swords is the readiness to move forward, right? There's no more greenery and there's no more pastures here. It's kind of sad in a way in this deck because this deer is obviously surrounded by trees that have been cut and the encroaching humans in the background. So it's kind of like, unfortunately, when we prosper, sometimes other areas of life diminish or go down. So it's sad in that sense. But yeah, overall, I feel like this is an opportunity to reconnect with not just your soul, but maybe the earth as well, the separation in earth being here, back to your agreements and what you wanted to do on this planet. So I think, what is it? Soul purpose is coming through now. Meaning of life kind of question is coming through here. This could be part of your meaning of life. Like I said, I don't know if you are actually writing anything down or anything like that, or recording it, or maybe just writing it down and not sharing it is exactly what you need to do. Focus on the stuff that's in front of you now, not so much what you should do with it in the future, because you can decide in the future of what you do with what you've got. Don't have to make that decision today. Yeah, in the future position or on the last card at the end, that's when you can make certain decisions. But you'll know because things in the world will change and shift. Ideas that you may have already are like really strong, and you're like, maybe it's too far ahead now, so you're just going to leave it. That's fine as well if you think that, but just check in with yourself. I feel like your shadow reading or like dealing with trauma and stuff like that is really to utilize it in a way that's going to support and help others in the future. That is not your job to do that. However, that may be a really high calling for you. If you feel called to it, then, you know, explore it. If you don't explore it. It's just what this reading kind of was focusing on. This is where the goddess Durga is coming through with the protection. It's like you've already gone through maybe the injustice or the evil, and now you're coming out on the other side and being able to share that knowledge, your truth potentially, or even just like have a space where people can talk about these things, right? I'm not so sure, because it's the full card. It's new and it's a new world to explore. But you have everything you need with this card coming through to be able to start the building blocks of this, to start the inner workings. Don't worry about the end product. Focus on the today's product, I guess. The today's workings. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that there. There's a lot here to kind of reflect on and look at. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask them into the comments below or message me privately if you want to. My details are on my page or on the homepage of this particular channel, right? And yeah, I'm going to leave that there. So thank you for letting me read for you. Take care of yourself, look after yourself and others, and I'll see you in the next reading.